Arizona Cardinals versus New Orleans Saints review. This is Pro Football Focus. This is their like grade release show. We skipped the Cardinals part at the beginning. I just want to hear what they talk about with the Saints because Pro Football Focus was pretty down on the Saints. And we did a video showing the grades. And I mean, Spencer Rattler specifically, he was like a 77, which is well better than Kyler Murray. So I'm interested to hear what they have to say about the Saints' performance in this game.
You talk about ageless linebackers, man. Demario Davis, an elite 90.7 grade. He's flying. There was a play.
Well, I thought the Saints had an aging old roster.
That he had. Don't put the graphic down. I'm going to be done in a second. There was a play that he had where I'm pretty sure it was Tip Ryman was coming behind the line of scrimmage in like a split zone run blocking concept. And Demario Davis put his shoulder into his chest and knocked him straight on his ass. And Demario looked at him after the play. It's basically like, welcome to New Orleans with a hit like that. Safety Julian Blackmon with an 83.9. Edge rusher Cam Jordan with a 80.8. Center Eric McCoy with a 79.7. Rookie offensive tackle Kelvin Banks Jr. with a 69.1. And then Spencer Rattler in this game. Not too bad. 77.3. South told the story, Dalton.
Yes, Rattler wasn't too bad. You're talking about a 77.
To me. Come on.
Saints
Come on, it's the Rat Pack.
It's just so plotting. Like, they just don't, and even the two big-time throws he did make, there was one at the very end of the game, similar to the Bucs game, that got broken up, like, right at the goal line or in the end zone. Only one deep completion, 5 of 15 on 10-plus yard throws.
No doubt. It was plotting. It was conservative, I guess, if you want to say, whatever word you want to use for it. The Cardinals were not allowing anything deep. They straight up said, hey, we're doing 3 safeties. We're keeping everything in front. Which makes sense, right? Like, all right, lines up, makes sense. Why wouldn't you let them kind of dink and dunk it down the field? Saints kind of did the same thing, and the Cardinals did the same thing, right? And we saw that in a couple games where, I mean, even like, the Philadelphia and Dallas game. Like, it's just depending on what the defense is showing you, quarterbacks are not going or should not just throw into deep coverage just to do it. And if that means kind of plotting down the field, sometimes you got to take it. I think that's what Rattler did. Now, I'm not sitting here and saying that, hey, look, that's our offense. That's just how it's going to be. But I think it was one of those things where he played and the Saints played within the means of the game, similar to the Cardinals. Cardinals offense, it's crazy when you do a preview and then the game plays out the exact way you thought it would play out. The Cardinals were the same thing, just a plotting run. What really pisses me off about the Cardinals situation is that they converted 3 3rd and 10s. If they don't convert those, we're rocking and rolling. It's just, but that, it is what it is. But the Cardinals were as plotting as the Saints, maybe even more so when you look at like James Conner and how the Saints kind of held him in check. You got a 50-yard run from Trey Benson that makes it look a little bit better. But if you take that away, the Cardinals do nothing on the ground, right? And then Kyler Murray, absolute short target merchant.
It did have the interception to Will Johnson deep down the field. 4.7 yards per attempt. I just think this Saints offense, it can't just be 4 yards at a time. It's so hard to win like that. And that's what it felt like to me watching this team was, Rattler didn't play that badly, right? But also, do we ever get to a point with these Saints quarterbacks, either of them this year, where it's, you go from, okay, you're not playing that bad to, okay, where you're actually playing good enough for us to win football games.
No, that is a good distinction. So we've already talked about like the idea that the Saints are the worst team in the NFL. We already talked about Rattler being the 32nd quarterback, whatever. If the question now isn't, are the Saints the worst team in the NFL? The question is, okay, the Saints played below average. Can they now show that they can play average? Or that they can play good, right? I think, and I've said for months, I think we can put the baseline of this team at below average. We need to see now them win a game or them play good. What does a good performance look like? Is this team capable of 6 yards per play? Is this team capable of deep shots down the field? Is this team capable of explosive plays, or is this all they can do?
Again, Rattler wasn't bad in this game per se, but you just don't see any much explosive out of this offense at all. I mean, that's the big problem for me. So, and the Cardinals are pretty good at preventing explosive plays. It's kind of something they got better at last year. They might even be better at this year with Will Johnson back there. But that's the thing for me. I watch the Saints offense, and it's just plodding, one small step at it. It takes forever for them to score, and they just don't get enough chunk plays. And it was a tight in the box game. The Cardinals did not play as well in this game as I thought they would. That was another theme here. So now you have both teams who, outside of a couple of shot plays from really one shot play from Murray to Marvin Harrison, very plodding back. And this was like a very 3 yards at a time sort of 100%. Game. And for the Saints through the air, I mean, this is the problem with their quarterback situation, is that the exact issue is they just don't have enough juice at quarterback to work things down the field and get consistent chunk plays.
Now, this is what I'm talking about. So if you just look at this game, you can absolutely say everything he just said about the Saints to the Cardinals. But the Cardinals, or at least Kyler Murray, has shown in the past moments where he can push the ball down the field. They can be great. He can be good. They can be explosive, whatever. The Saints have not yet. And remember, we talked about the unknowns and all that going into the season. The only reason that this hombre right here isn't saying all this about Kyler Murray is because of, like I said, those question marks aren't there, whereas they are for Spencer Rattler. If Rattler, that's the next step for this team. The next step for the Saints, and I'm not saying against San Francisco, but at some point, we need to see it come together. Nobody is going to sit here and say this was a perfect game from the Saints. This was, great execution. Loved every bit of it. Whatever. There's absolutely things to improve on. Now we need to see the improvement. Let's see. And this doesn't mean I want Rattler to be throwing 30-yard, 40-yard passes every play next game. But at some point, we do need to see that. Or, like this guy's saying, you will be stuck wondering, is this all the Saints are?
Yeah, first impressions mean a lot. And the first impression that we ever had of Spencer Rattler was that first year that he was at Oklahoma, right? 9.4 big-time throw percentage that season. Folks, that is nuts. I mean, some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL have a 6-7% big-time throw percentage. Spencer Rattler had a 9.4% big-time throw percentage that first year that he was with Lincoln Riley when he was...
Yeah, I was just about to say that. You can't compare your first year at Oklahoma with 5 stars all over the place. Lincoln Riley is your head coach. That was, 7 years ago? 6 years ago? The style of college football and the style of offense is so different, you can't compare that.
Oklahoma. The next year, it was a completely different season, but we thought it was going to be an outlier because the first thing that we saw of Spencer Rattler was of him, this big game hunter type of a quarterback. Let's see, I had it up here a second ago. It was 1.5% the next year, but it was a different offense. That was the year that I think Caleb Williams replaced him.
Yep,
so
yeah.
it was
Played
okay,
4 games or something.
You just kind of throw that out. Okay, whatever. That doesn't really count. First year that he's at South Carolina, big time throw percentage 5. You go, okay, great. That second year, his final year that he was at South Carolina, is 2.8. And what?
Yeah, but what does that tell you? Tells you that his final year, offensive line's bad. He's not in the pocket that long. The routes aren't developing. He's getting rid of the ball. There's a lot of other stuff that goes into that.
We had this past game's a 2 point.
On top of the SEC, on top of playing in the SEC, on top of all of a sudden now you don't have 5 stars all over the place.
5. He's not even close to that same quarterback that he was that first year when he was at Oklahoma. And I very much understand being in a Lincoln Riley offense in Oklahoma when they were still in the Big 12, very different from playing in the SEC and even playing in the NFL.
Yeah, brother. Hey, how about you do Caleb Williams' big throw percentage at USC and then do it in Chicago? That comparison means absolutely nothing.
But it's just still strange to me that Rattler, who is billed as this high-profile 5-star gunslinger quarterback, that's not who he is anymore.
Well, you answered your own question. If the only time he had the 9 big play throw percentage was his rookie year under Lincoln Riley, why are we talking about that now? Is that what you're expecting this guy? You're expecting Spencer Rattler or any NFL quarterback? I mean, he's not Josh Allen.
That's not how he wants to play the game. And so that's kind of what, to me, the Saints are going to be. This was exactly how the Saints wanted to play this game. They were playing an opponent that did not have their best game, and they still lost at home. That makes it tough for me to think that New Orleans isn't picking in the top 3 next year when it comes to the draft.
Absolutely.
I think that's crazy. I think that line of thinking is absolutely bananas. New Orleans wasn't even close to a perfect game, their best, whatever. I mean, whatever it was, 13 penalties, missed a field goal, like all the stuff that went wrong for the Saints. The defensive pass interference on Kool-Aid. We've gone over the whole thing. Even with all of that, they have 3 shots at the end zone to win the game. Even with all of that, they played the exact same game as the Arizona Cardinals. We have talked about this. We have shown the stats. We've shown the metrics. We've shown the whole thing. They played the exact same game. So just because the Cardinals won the coin toss, basically won the coin flip, and they won the game, the Saints are picking in the top 3. Shouldn't you be concerned about the Cardinals to the same? Like, why would the Cardinals not be picking in the top 10? I do not understand this line of thinking at all. I would say, if anything, this game proves that the Saints are not one of the worst 3 teams in the NFL. What's this guy's name? Trevor, newsflash. The Miami Dolphins played. The Carolina Panthers played. The Tennessee Titans played. You know how many first downs the Titans had? 7. Okay, you know how many yards per... Talk about big game throw percentage. Someone do me a favor. Go look up Cam Ward's big throw percentage or whatever at Miami last year, and then compare it to week 1 against Denver, where he has a 1.8 yards per pass. So, I watched every game. I don't think the Saints were as bad as Tennessee, Carolina, the Giants, the Browns.
I mean, there's just that's what you have is there's such a low ceiling on this offense. And think about to me the 2 best players now, and obviously Alvin Kamara is still good, but he's getting older. The 2 best players on this offense, or at least the 2 most explosive players, are Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. You have to be able to work the ball downfield to him. That's something that when Derek Carr was healthy last year, the Saints were able to do, right, is take shots to those 2 guys. When Rattler came in, that stopped and the offense stagnated. Same thing in this game. It stopped, especially against all the zone coverage the Cardinals play, and they just, again, it's just plotting. And then we saw it on the other side with the Cardinals, too, with Brandon Staley in his first game as the Saints defensive coordinator. A lot more zone coverage than Dennis Allen. Keep it in front of you for the most part, aside from the big go route to Marvin Harrison on the right side early in the game. But you just had 2 teams that struggled to me to make explosive pass plays.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I agree, like, hey, look, both defenses are doing the same thing, playing this zone, keep it in front of you, whatever. Like, it is what it is, okay. But I don't understand how that line of processing gets you to Saints top 3 pick and Cardinals, it is what it is. I don't get that.
And that's why it's a little bit of the same conversation that we had with the Giants. Will there come a point, because I know that Tyler Shuck didn't get the starting quarterback job for this team. Does there come a point 5-6 weeks into the season where you go, okay, Rattler's not turning the ball over, but we're not scoring the ball. We're not moving the ball enough. We're not creating enough explosives. We got to try something different. So maybe.
I think, yeah, like if it all plays out like that and you're 2-6 or whatever, 3-9, and you're plodding down the field every game and it's kind of the same thing. Yeah, I mean, okay, play Shuck and see if you can get a spark or whatever, but they what drives me crazy about this sometimes is they show the numbers and they show the data and they show the stats and then they just like say stuff that's completely in the face of that. Spencer Rattler had a higher PFF grade than Kyler Murray. Spencer Rattler was a 77 whatever grade. And they're like, well, maybe you should bench him. What?
That's the time when we get Tyler Shuck as the quarterback there. My most impressive was Will Johnson. I mentioned it. Really kind of didn't look very comfortable during the preseason, so I was a little bit nervous about him. But this first game was great. 90.3 coverage grade, 90.7 overall grade. He had a great play where it was the swing pass to Chris Olave in the backfield that he read perfectly and was able to make a big hit on him. But even beyond that, like, he had a good interception. He had a couple of really nice plays down the field. Like, it was a good game from Will Johnson. And then my most disappointing was just the Cardinals' offensive line. I went back in because I kind of wanted to figure out, okay, why did the Cardinals not dominate this game a little bit more?
Dominate the game a little bit more? They didn't dominate the game at all. At all.
And I'm going to be honest, like, I think that the Cardinals...
I mean, that statement alone is pissed. I'm getting pissed off. But like, that statement alone is like, why didn't the Cardinals dominate more than they did? They didn't dominate. What do you mean?
Cardinals offensive.
James Conner ran, what was his yards per rush? Like 3.5 or something? Trey Benson, again, you take out that 50-something yard run that was blown up in the backfield. It happened, but I'm just saying, you take that away, the Cardinals got destroyed on the ground.
Line is just very low ceiling. I'm watching this game, and the Saints defenders are flying. Like, they're flying all over the place. And I feel as though the Cardinals have an offensive line of guys that know how to, maybe reach block and angle a guy off, or, wall off a defender to where he can't get to where the ball is. But there's not a lot of impact blocking going on here. You don't have we're not pulling one of these guards and they're, making a big block where you're totally kicking somebody out. Are they running into the player? Yeah, they'll run into the player and kind of do their job. But I was wanting more. I was sort of wanting more violence in the play of this Cardinals offensive line. And I just don't know how high the ceiling is for this Cardinals offensive line, how big of people movers and maulers they're going to be for a team that would love to win on the ground, would love to win with Trey Benson and James Conner, and sort of let the passing attack be an extension of what they could be on the.
That's what they want to do. They want to run the ball, dink and dunk when they can, take shots when they can, but they want to be a power running offense.
I think that's when the Cardinals are operating best in Drew Petzing's offense. But I just, when I rewatched it, I felt as though the Saints defensive line and their front seven was dictating things in that game. And the Cardinals were fine. They weren't like a train wreck at offensive line, but I felt as though they were always of the two-party interaction, they were often the ones that were reacting and trying to recover instead of being the ones that were imposing their will on the guys in New Orleans front seven.
Yeah, and it concerns you because this was coming into it supposed to be a matchup where they could have dominated as bad as this.
Exactly. And they didn't. That was one of the question marks. We don't know what this Saints rushing defense is going to look like. We don't know what this new system and all that. And it answered. The Saints rush defense dominated the rushing offense of the Cardinals. Here's the deal, and this is going to, a lot of people are going to be confused with this. Coming into the game, this was supposed to be an easy win for the Cardinals. Dominant performance from the Cardinals, whatever. After the game, I think we can all agree these are two evenly matched teams that played an evenly matched game that had a 50-50 win rate or win percentage for both teams, and Cardinals got it. And for the Saints, that's a step in the right direction. For the Cardinals, not so much. Cardinals are supposed to be an NFC West sleeper team, playoff team, whatever. So either the Saints are way better than people thought, or the Cardinals are way worse. But these two teams, from what I was seeing and what all the metrics show, were exactly the same.
Saints were in run defense.
Right.
And I think you can say, well, the Cardinals didn't play their best game. I think you can say, well, the Saints didn't either. Two evenly matched teams
last year, but you've got, and look, obviously DeMario Davis is still one of the best linebackers in football. Cam Jordan had a really good game, right? Devon Godshaw, a veteran who they got in free agency this year, he was solid. So you look at this Saints unit, maybe it is a little bit better, but I expected the Cardinals to come into this game and be able to run the football, and it just wasn't great. It was, I mean, we say this, and they had 146 yards rushing, 31 of it scrambling. So you go, okay,
31 of it scrambling and 50 of it on a broken play. So out of whatever he said, 150 yards, 80 of it was on scrambling and a broken play. I mean, they did nothing running the ball.
3 carries for 150. I mean, they're ripping off 5 yards a carry, but it never felt like they took it over. Trey Benson had one long run that accounted for 52.
I was going to say, Trey Benson had the 52-yard run that I think was take
out the Benson run. And you're talking about, okay, now you're immediately under 4 yards a carry.
Yeah,
right? That's what I'm saying. Just look at James Conner. He had like 3-point-something yards a carry. You are under, they are, and that's where it's like, well, the Cardinals should have dominated more. Not only did they not dominate, you can argue that their rushing attack was dominated.
One explosive is tilting that. And these are good backs, obviously. Connor, Benson with the one big carry. Kyler Murray obviously can run the ball, but it felt inconsistent. It did.
It was.
Entire offense.
What do you mean it felt? It was.
Most disappointing, actually, and it's not a terrible grade, but it's Kyler Murray. I thought he was going to be better in this game. And to be honest, to me, aside from a couple of nice plays with his legs and the one big ball to Marvin Harrison down the right sideline, I thought it was kind of jittery. I thought he looked uncomfortable. The Saints, again, a lot more zone coverage from Brandon Staley than they used to play under Dennis Allen. They made him check it down. They made him stand in the pocket and think about things. They need Kyler Murray to be better than this.
This guy, they're so close to saying what they need to say, which is that both teams played kind of whatever. Both teams were evenly matched. Saints were better than we thought. Bada bing, bada boom.
Again, last year they were 5-1 when he had at least a 70 passing grade, 3-8 otherwise. This game he had a 64.5, and they managed to win because it's the Saints. But he's got to be more. We've talked about this, the inconsistency of Kyler Murray, and however consistently well he can perform on a week-to-week basis. That's going to decide if the Cardinals go to the playoffs or not. They're off to a 1-0 start.
Again, they talk and talk and talk and talk, saying what we're saying. But now it's, will the Cardinals go to the playoffs, and will the Saints be a top 3 pick? What are we talking about here?
But I really, especially offensively, was not wicked impressed with them.
Yeah, I just pulled up the Benson 52-yard run, and even on this run, there are multiple Saints players that either
it should have been a negative play. He was hit in the backfield on the right side and slipped the tackle. Kudos to him for slipping the tackle, whatever. But even that play should not have happened.
Dominate at the point of attack when they make contact with the tight end or the offensive lineman, to where like they're getting pushed back, they're knocking these guys down. Like that happened against like 3 or 4 players on this one. And to be honest with you, Julian Blackmon should have been sprinting towards the sideline to be able to tackle Trey Benson after like a 6-yard gain. And he instead came inside. I don't know. I actually have no idea why. Maybe he couldn't see. I'm just looking at the end zone angle of it right now. Maybe he just didn't have a good look at it and didn't even know where Trey Benson was with the ball. But he should have had like full outside contained to the sideline, and he didn't. He cut inside as if Benson was going to like run off tackle or run sort of like a mid zone play instead of an outside zone play. But even on that play, the Cardinals' offensive line was sort of leaving a lot to be desired, and I felt like they were getting hit in the mouth by a lot of the Saints defensive linemen. So I'm kind of nitpicking, right? The Cardinals won the game. Again, a win is a win is a win in the league, but what we're trying to do is not...
I don't agree with that. I don't think a win is a win. I don't think a loss is a loss. I think you have to look at the context, the box score, yards per play, everything we just talked about to give you a true score of what actually happened.
Just analyze who won the game. You guys can look that up yourself. What we're trying to do is tell you how the game came to be. And
that's what I'm trying to do.
There's a lot of luck that is in this game. I know people really hate that. It's a trigger word for a lot of people when you bring the word luck into it, but we're trying to predict what is stable, what could be happening next week and in the next couple of weeks and in the second half of the season and all that. So anything else? Most impressive.
I'll stay with the secondary. The Cardinals secondary was best unit in this game. Rabbit, Taylor Demerson. You mentioned Will Johnson.
Yeah, they were good.
They got another young defender in Taylor Demerson.
I think you go Cardinals pass defense, Saints run defense, probably the 2 best units.
That was really, really... I mean, you look at this secondary. Johnson, Garrett Williams, Budda Baker, Jalen Thompson, now Taylor Demerson, 78.4 coverage grade, 5 targets, 2 catches allowed for 15 yards, couple of stops as well. This secondary is just getting more and more depth to it, and Jonathan Gannon's really liking the way that they prevent explosive plays, and you've got all this young talent and speed in this secondary. It's very quietly one of the best units, if not the best unit across the board on this team. I think his secondary is going to keep him in a lot of games, and it really was the best one in this game.
Yeah, something else about, like, the Cardinals showed you what they want to do and the Saints showed you what they're going to do. They're going to keep doing that. Like, the Cardinals are that team that plotting, run the ball, Kyler kind of dink and dunk, whatever, take a shot here and there. The Saints are going to be what they were in this game. They're going to be run the football, keep everything short, intermediate, get the ball quick to Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. Obviously, Juwan Johnson is going to be a big part of this offense as well. Now, we just have to keep uncovering the wrinkles of, okay, well, will the Saints take shots? Was it just not available, and so they didn't? Or are they never going to take shots? And we'll only know that, as the season progresses. But, I feel like the PFF guys were right there. Like, they had all the evidence. They had everything they needed, and then they just kind of reverted back to, like I said, I just don't see how the Cardinals and the Saints can play identical games, and one team, it's like, all right, well, possible playoff team, one team, top 3 draft pick. Something's got to give there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the comments below what you think. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.